Hello everyone, this is Raman. In the last lecture, we have seen that how to install Python, how to install PyCharm. Also, we have seen that what is interactive mode and what is the script mode. If you want to see that which version of Python is installed, you will use Python hyphen version command. So this command will basically gives you the version which is installed. In my case, it is 3.8.1 version, but in the Python NCRT book, it is 2.x version. I think 2.7 version they have used. There are some minor differences. Otherwise, most of the things get covered into the 3.8.1 version. Okay, so So if I start Python here, so this is the interactive mode. You can see there are three greater than symbols, which indicates it's the interactive mode. So one major difference you will find the print statement. In 2.x version or 2.7 version, which is used in your book, it use print statement something like this. If I say hello world, so this was supported in 2.x but not in 3.x version. 3.x means 3.8 version or 3.8.1 version. So this will throw the error in 3.8.1 version, but in 2.7 it won't throw the error. So if I say uh, if I want to execute this statement, I need to use print and then the parenthesis. Parenthesis is your circular bracket and hello world. So this statement is also supported in 2.7 version. So if you have installed 2.7 version, then this statement will be valid statement in there. So there are two types of statements supported by 2.x version. One is without parenthesis and one is the with the parenthesis. Okay, so this is the major difference which is different in my examples and the book which we are following. Okay, now let us see uh, what next uh, in our this paragraph. So we have seen the interactive mode. So let us first talk about the interactive mode. So first, let me uh, show you something extra which is not in your book. So if you want to clear this screen, you have to use import OS. OS is basically operating system. This is called module. We will discuss about the module in detail. So if I say OS dot system, and if you are using Windows, you need to use CLS, and if you are using Unix, then you need to use clear. Okay, because we are using Windows, so the command will be OS dot system CLS. So it will basically clears your screen. First statement is the print statement. So what this print function does, so whenever you write anything in this parenthesis, this is called function. So say an example, if I say print and then these brackets, so it means print is a function. And if I say POW, this parenthesis, so it means power is a function. Okay. So first, let us talk about the print function. So in print function, basically what we do, this is useful to print the statement. So print the statement, whatever you write it into the double quotes. So if you want to print as it is, so say an example, if I say hello world, so it prints hello world as it is. Okay, so whatever you write in the double quotes or single quote, so if I say print single quote hello world, so both the statements are valid statement. Okay, so you can see that hello world is printed. So print statement is to print the output on your screen. If you want to print multiple uh, values. So say an example, if I say print hello, and I'm using comma and then world. So now you can see there is hello space. Space is by default if you use a comma, and world. So it will print multiple values which is comma separated. We'll talk about the variables. Variables are basically the memory location where the data gets stored. So say an example, if I say x is equal to, if I give Python, so it means the value of x if you want to print. So then you need not to write in the double quotes because x is a variable. So if you write in double quotes, what will happen? It will print as it is. But I want to print the value which is stored in x variable. So in that case, I will use print and without double quotes x. So you can see now the value of x is printed. You can print the other statements like integer values. If I say 15 plus 12, so it will print 27. Okay, so that is what explained in these examples. So you can see print 5 plus 10, 15, x equal to 10, y equals to 10, 20. So if I say x equals to 10 and y equals to 20, and now I want to print the multiplication of this. So I can say print x into y. So it will print the multiplication of x. I did not put it into the double quotes. If I put it into the double quotes, it will print as it is, x into y. But I want to see the result as the multiplication of x into y. Okay, so this is basically your this is your interactive mode, how you write. So there are a few things which is not mentioned um, in your book, but I want to show you. So say an example, there are some operators. So if you say x plus y, or if I say 2 plus 3, it gives me 5. 2 multiplication 3, it gives you 6. And if I say 2 minus 3, it gives minus 1. And by default, the division in the uh, Python, it is decimal division. So what I mean, so say an example, if I say 23 divide by 2, so it gives you 11.5, which is a decimal or float division. But if you want only the quotient part, if you want the integer division, we call it, so then you will use double slash. So this gives you 11 only. So basically what I'm trying to do it here. So if you use 23 divide by 2, so it will be something like this: 23 divide by 2, 2 ones are 2, right? And we have 3, so 11 and 1, then point, we'll put 0 and 5. So this is the result when you perform. So it gives you 11.5. Okay, but if you say 23 divide by 12, so it will say 23 divide by 2, which goes to 11, 22, and remainder is 1. So this quotient is the output. Okay, and there is one more if you want to find the remainder. So 23 percentage 2. So this we call the modulus operator. Okay, so what it will do, it will return this value. remainder. Okay, so let me show you that. So if we have say 23 and percentage 2, so it will return 1. Okay, so these are some operator which I wanted to show you, but we will discuss some more things when we talk about the number data type. Okay, now, so this is the interactive mode. Now let us talk about the script mode. So in the script mode, we type Python program in a file and then use interpreter to execute the content of the file. Working in the interactive mode is convenient for the beginners and for testing small piece of code, as one can test them immediately. But for the code for coding of more than few lines, we should always save our code so that it can be modified and reused. So what it is trying to say, whenever you are writing any program, if it is if I write something here, now I know my value of x is 10. But if I exit from interactive mode, now everything will go away. Okay, if I say Python again, and if I say x is undefined. Okay, so x is not defined, because when I closed my interactive mode, or when I exited from my interactive mode, the variables or the other things which is stored in the form of some identifier, that will also washed away. So the other way is that we can use the script. So what is script? Script means we can write the code into a file. In the last lecture, I have shown you can use a notepad file. If you don't know how to use the notepad file, you can see my previous lecture. And other way is that you can use the PyCharm, which is a IDE for the Python. Okay, so now let us solve a problem to where I'm going to input two numbers and I want to find the sum of these two numbers. Okay, so if I am using the interactive mode, how I will use it? So say an example, if I say x, I'm taking one variable. Variable is memory locations. So input method. So with the help of input method, what you can do, you can uh, you can enter the value dynamically into a variable. So if I say enter first number, okay, so immediately it is asking the what is the number. Now y equals to input enter second number. Now I'm entering second number, say 6. Okay, now x is having value 3 and y is having value 6. But there is one problem. I cannot find the sum of these two. So if I say x plus y, so you will find the different result, which is 36, whereas I was expecting it should be 9. So why it is so? So the reason is, whenever you are using input method, here I used input method, here I used input method. By default, the data type is string. So what it means? So there is a data type which is called string. So whenever you see, when I print X, it is showing single quote. So this single quote indicates this is not a number, this is a text. Why? It is also single quote and which is a string. So when we use plus operator between two strings, then what it does the concatenation. Concatenation means combine these two, and it gives the result 36, which is again a string. If you want that these values to be treated as integer, then you need to convert string to integer. So how to do that? There is a method which is called int method, and you need to pass the value, or I can say int x. Okay, so both, because x is having this value, then the output will be integer. Okay, so one way is that after entering the value into variables, so you can say x equals to, or you can say x equals to int x. So the data type will get changed. Or when you are entering the value of the variable x, at that moment also you can convert the value. So you can write x is equal to int input and the whatever you want to write. Okay, so I will show these two methods how to do that. So what I will do here, I will say x equals to, you can take other variables also, int x, and y equals to int y. Okay, so if you want to see the data type of x and y now, you can use type method. Type of x, you can see it is integer, and type of x, you can type of y, it is integer. Now if I say x plus y, you can use print statement also. You can find 9. Okay, and other way which I told you that how to use this int statement. So you can say x equals to int input, enter first number, two brackets close. Okay, now I'm entering say 6. Now same way I will say y equals to int input, enter second number, and here I'm entering say 4. Now if I say x plus y, it will give you the correct output, which is 10. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. Now in this case, my variable x and y and this program will vanish as soon as I will come out of my interactive mode. But I want to store it into some file, then I will use Notepad, or I will use PyCharm. Okay, so I have already opened this PyCharm. Let me clear the screen. Okay, so in this case, how I will write x is equal to int input, enter first number, y equals to int input, enter second number, and now I will say print sum equals to, you can say comma, x plus y. Okay. So to run it, right click, or you can click here, or you can say right click, hello world. So now it is asking the first number. I'm entering number 3. Enter second number. I'm entering 8. and it is saying sum equals to 11. Okay, so this way we are basically using the script mode. So let us see what example is given here. So here you can see input method. So here int keyword is not used because in 2.x version by default whatever the value you are entering, if it is number, the data type of A is number, data type of B is number. Okay, so by default it is number. So you can see A divided by B. This was another difference. A divided by B is returns quotient. So if it is not a float or decimal division, it gives the quotient. So basically in 2.x or in this book, if you say enter a number, so here int keyword is not used, here int keyword is not used because in 2.x version, if you say enter a number, say 10, so it will not take by default string data type, it takes as the integer data type. B equals to enter a number, you enter 3. So the data type of A and B is by default integer in this case. Okay, if you enter something in single quote, then it becomes the string. But in 3.x version, it is not like that. So they have done some improvement. But as per this book, they are using 2.x version. So and so the data type is integer by default. And if you say A divided by B, so 10 divided by 3, so it gives you same result as we have seen 10 double slash divided by 3 means it will give you the quotient. Okay, it will give you the quotient. And now if you say A percentage B, which is 10 divided by 3, remainder is 1. So this is the output. Okay, so now let us see variables. So what is variable? So when we talk about the variables, so variables are basically the memory locations. Whenever you are declaring a variable, so say an example, if I have a variable and that variable is, I'm saying x equal to 5. Okay, so there is some memory location. So this memory location is your RAM. So in that RAM, x is stored and there is some memory is allocated to this variable x, which has value 5. And if you say y is equal to 5, so in that case, x and y both are pointing to 5. Okay, it is something like this. So this x and y, these are the memory locations and these are called variables. Okay, so these are called variables. So one of the most powerful feature in the of a programming language is the ability to manipulate the variables. When so variable actually if you say vary, so vary means change. So variables is change. Okay, whose value gets changed. So if you say x is equal to 5, now you say x is equal to 9. So the value of x is changed now. It is not constant. So one of the most powerful feature of the programming language is the ability to manipulate the variables. When we create a program, we often like to store the values so that it can be used later. We use objects, variables to capture the data, which then can be manipulated by the computer to provide the information. So when we talk about um, these variables, so we can use in these variables throughout the program. So it depends upon its scope, but in the scope, if these are available, so we can use later. So if you assign x is equal to 9 and you want to print this, So it means X variable is available in the print statement. So when we talk about a variable, so variable is called an identity. So what is the identity? Identity means name of the variable. Okay. So in our case, if I say X equal to 10, so X is the identity. Then data type. Data type is nothing but what type of data you are storing. If it is number, then it is in number data type. In Python, basically, you need not to explicitly declare the data type of a variable. So it depends upon the value of the variable. So if you store x is equal to 10, so it means uh, it is of integer type. If you say 10.1, then it is float type. Okay. If you store in single quote that 10, then it is string type. Okay. So it depends. So here identity and the type. Now let us see what are the different data types. So these are the different data types which is supported by the Python. So here you can see we have numbers data type. In numbers data type, we have further sub data types, which is integer, floating point, and complex number. In integer, we have Boolean data type. Then next data type is none. None basically you can say the null value or no value or void value. Then we have sequence data type. In sequence data type, we have strings, tuples, list. Then we have the sets data type. And in the last, we have the mapping data type. Under mapping, we are having the dictionary data type. Okay, so these are the data types. So now this lecture is getting little long. So what I will do, the detail of the data types we will discuss in the next lecture. Thanks for watching.